Hi, my name is Alicia. I was diagnosed with stage 1C ovarian cancer last September 2018, so I'm a newbie. 2.5 days after I was diagnosed, I was given a total hysterectomy. After the hysterectomy, my surgeon came to me and said that I needed to have chemotherapy. It's an aggressive, it may be a stage 1C, but it's aggressive stage 1C, he said, and you really need to have the chemotherapy. I couldn't do it though. I have multiple chemical sensitivities. I decided it just scared me too much. The idea. You see, when I even take aspirin, I have negative reactions. If I take any antibiotics, if I do anything out of the norm, I have a pretty bad reaction. So the idea of doing chemotherapy just was not an option, and I wouldn't do it. I was too scared to do it. So I went home. I had a little bit of damage done during the surgery, so it took me a while to get better. For a couple of months, I totally looked like death warmed over. You know what? I looked like somebody from a concentration camp, and I walked about 2 inches every step. I could barely walk. It was like that for a long time. The pain was really bad. I couldn't take medication, so I had to be on the pain that I chose. That's the pain that I chose. I have a lot of essential oils and I use them. And the essential oils kept the pain down, which was awesome. I have just used those a lot. Then, a few weeks into it, I got something in the mail from a friend. She has sent me a book. And the name of the book was Chris Beat Cancer. And it said that this guy, Chris, had stage 3C colon cancer, didn't do chemotherapy or radiation, went on this radical diet, and here he is in 2019 and on, still doing incredibly well today. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is such good news. I was really excited to hear that. I started reading the book, and he talked about the importance of taking massive action. That, just out of the entire book, I think those words really got to me the most because it's true. We have to take massive action. He said, when you take massive action, you're going to get massive results, more than likely. If you take minimal action, you're going to get minimal results. Makes sense, right? So yeah, massive action. That whole concept stuck with me really strongly. But I had this niggling something inside of me that there was something else that I needed to hold on to. The idea of taking massive action, yes, I could do that. I could do that for a month. But I didn't know if I could do it week after week, after month, after year. I mean, I I knew I was going to have to make a permanent change. I mean, the thing that caused the cancer in the first place, if I were to go back to my same lifestyle that created the cancer, why would I want to return to that lifestyle? I knew that I could just have cancer come back again. It was not smart. So, yeah, massive action is good, but how am I going to keep taking that massive action? And that's when I realized I needed to look at things totally different. I have to have a paradigm shift and a totally different worldview shift. And as a Christian, I should have a paradigm shift anyway. This is just forcing me into a paradigm shift that I should have taken a long time ago. So those two things, massive action and paradigm shift, they have been key, key, key. And I have to say, some people say, it's probably easy, Alicia, for you to stop eating foods. I mean, you're doing so well. And I'm like, no, no, you have no idea how difficult this is for me. I mean, I can imagine people having as difficult of a time with their eating problems as I do, but I can't imagine anybody being any worse than me. You know how sometimes you'll eat just for social interaction, social eating, I guess they call it, right? Social eating. We're social eaters. Yeah, I'm a social eater, but that's little. I have a much stronger tie with food. Quickly, when I was growing up, the only love I got was in the form of food. My parents, I love my parents, but they didn't know how to show love. My mom did her best, and her best was to give us food. So she gave me food all the time. Delicious, amazing food, yummy, scrumptious food, which I ate all the time. I had a love connection with food. The only things I did not like were vegetables and salad. The two things that I have to eat today exclusively are the two things I hated. But there's a lot more to it than just your diet. Yeah, we need to radically change our diets. But I was shocked when I found out how important the role of emotions plays when it comes to healing cancer. And I like that, saying healing cancer. I don't want to say battling cancer. I don't want to say killing the cancer. I mean, you want to say it. But think about it. Cancer is in everybody. I'm not trying to scare you. It's just facts. That's just the way it is. Can't we all have cancer throughout our lives? But the awesome thing is our bodies are created so that we can deal with it. Our bodies deal with so much. So it's important for us to build up our immune systems so that they can do what they were created to do in the first place. So, what did I want to say? Emotions are super important. I had repressed emotions. Chris talks about all this in his book. I also highly recommend the modules. I love the modules. They're a video series. I have a hard time reading a lot of times. So the video series was amazing for me. It was very well. He talks about emotions, the importance of it. He also talked about spontaneous remission. I had never heard of spontaneous remission before until Chris brought it up. So I'm watching this module of his. He's talking about it. I'm like, what is spontaneous remission? And he goes on to say, spontaneous remission is when a person has cancer, but they don't do chemotherapy or radiation. They don't do the typical things that people do, and they just kind of get better. And it's documented in medical journals. Do you know, last 2014, there were 1,000 documented cases of spontaneous remission. That was in 2014. And I have since learned that for every documented case, there's at least 100 cases that are not documented. That's being really conservative. So I just want to give you guys hope. There are hundreds of thousands of cases of spontaneous remission. I like the way one person put it. She calls it radical remission because it's not like it's this spine. It's not like it just kind of magically just kind of sort of melts away. You have to take radical changes in your lifestyle, in your diet, your emotions, learning to take control of your health. That's a huge thing right there. I'll just give you a quick analogy. You guys have a car. You know what it's like to have a car. When you have a car, you can drive it. You can drive it into the ground, get in a wreck, not take care of it. Then you take it to the mechanic. They hopefully can take care of all the problems. But if you're really taking charge, if you're really, really owning your car and taking good care of your car, you'll gas it up with the best gas. You'll do all the little maintenance things that you're supposed to do for it. You'll keep up with the car. You won't depend on somebody else after it's been totaled or whatever to take care of your car. You're going to take control of it. And that's how we have to do with our bodies. We have to take control of our health. We have to. We don't have to, okay? We choose to. I choose to take control of my health, and I hope you do too. I was reading, did I finish on radical remission? I wanted to say one thing about radical remission. I love the book Chris Beat Cancer, and I recommend that to anybody. I love the modules. I love the modules. If you do nothing, I would get that. I highly recommend it. There is one other book that I discovered after hearing about spontaneous remission. It's called Radical Remission. You can look at it at Amazon, and you'll see, just type in Radical Remission. And it's about this lady that was interested in cancer for various reasons. She went to Harvard and eventually got a PhD at Berkeley. she discovered what Chris talked about, spontaneous remission. So she asked a bunch of doctors, why haven't I ever heard of this? What is this spontaneous remission thing? Nobody could tell her what it was. They said what it was. They could tell her what it was. They said, well, it's people that didn't do chemotherapy or radiation. But she asked them, well, what made them get better? What was the reason they got better? If they didn't do that, then what did they do? And do you know, nobody had the answer for her. Nobody. Nobody. So she went on a 10-year search. She researched and researched and researched. She traveled the world. She visited people, hundreds of people had spontaneous remission, which she refers to as radical remission, because she saw that all these people, they did all kinds of things. There's so many things you can do. There is so much out there. But she discovered there were 9 things that almost every survivor had in common. And when I say survivor, I'm talking about they've had cancer for a 7, 10, 15, 20, 30-year survivor. I'm talking a long time. And there's about 9 things that they had in common. Chris covers those things. If you want some additional ammunition, her book Radical Remission is also a good thing to get because it gives you encouragement, which is great. I was told that when you're fighting cancer, and I think I said earlier, fighting cancer is not what I want to use. When you're healing cancer, when you recognize that cancer is just a part of your body and your body will take care of it, when you look at it that way, then you realize you're just healing the cancer. You're not fighting it. You're not killing it. You're not battling it. You're healing it. It's part of your body that just needs to be healed. Somebody gave an analogy. I love analogies. I think I said that already. That's okay. Somebody gave an analogy about a forest fire. They said when there's a forest fire, firemen are called out. They, do the hose thing, squirt the water on it. But they don't just do that. They don't just say, okay, there's this big forest fire. We want one fireman out there to squirt one hose in one area, and that'll take care of the fire. That's not what happens. They surround that fire with a lot of firemen. They'll attack it with water. They'll attack it with water from all angles, from the sky. They'll dig trenches around it. There's a lot of different things they'll do to get rid of that. They don't just do one thing. And that's how it is with cancer. And that's what I want you to look at. That's what I'm looking at. I need to do a lot of things to help my cancer. We all need to do a lot of things to help with cancer. The fire analogy. I love that analogy. It's so helpful. I started with crispy cancer, and I'm still doing crispy cancer. I will continue, and I'm not going to stop, you guys. I'm not going to do it for 10 years and then, or 2 years, not 10 years. I'm not going to do it for a couple of years and then say, okay, I'm going to go back to my old way of eating. I probably won't totally. I might go back slightly, but I'll never revert totally back to the way I was. I won't even want to. I don't even want to do that, and I hope you don't want to. I want to leave you with one last thing. Somebody said, some people change because they want to. Some people change because they want to. Other people change because they have to. That would be me. I'm making the change because I have to. This is our opportunity to change. Thank you. God bless you.